On the weekly chart, we're going to take a look at gold and its correlation to the overall markets. Now, you can see here on the week, we basically placed a big doji in here, right? So a lot of indecision, but we still ended green. Usually what that means is when gold is up, that means the market had some sort of a pullback. Now we're looking here at gold. We're getting close here. Actually, I mean, we're right on it, that upper trend line. You can see from the past, we're basically sitting right up there against it right now. So we're going to see if we're going to get some cooling off in here as we go into next week and then towards the end of the month, or are we going to kind of stay within this channel here? So this channel that we're going to be talking about is going to be that 458 to that 468 area, a little $10 channel in here, basically sat in that in here this week. A little bit of a pullback in here just for a little while, but overall we stayed in that channel. And we're going to see if we continue in this channel or we kind of go up and hit this upper trend line and breach it, or just bounce right off of it as we go into next week. That upper trend line is going to be sitting right around that 470 mark. And then towards the downside, this lower trend line down here isn't until the 420s and that 422 area down here. So not a whole lot to worry about, but if we do get a nice little bounce and we in the overall markets and we start pulling back here hard in gold and in silver again and all your metals, then that 420 is going to be a big support for us, a huge piece of footing for us as we get down here. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But a pullback, it looks like, is inevitable just because of our RSI being so high here on the weekly and the daily, and that we just had a big green week in here last week, little cooling off in here this week with the indecision. Now a little bit of a pullback in here could happen, which means if we do that, then the overall markets should pop. Now we're going to look at our QQQs in here. This is going to be the ETF of the overall NASDAQ. So we mentioned that if, hey, we got a green candle in gold, most likely we're going to have a red candle in our SPY and our Qs. And guess what? We're looking at our Qs right here. That's exactly what happened, especially today, towards the end of the day. Big pullback in here. We were up trading in those 606s. Now we ended the day 601.92. So we're going to see what next week brings, if we can get a little bit of a pop with our tech in here to kind of push the overall markets higher. But for right now, our immediate supports and resistances are going to be 600, big psych level in here. And then resistance wise, we're looking at 618, basically an $18 channel in here that we're going to be looking at as we're going into Mondays. But if we're going to widen that out, we're going to be looking at the 588s and then that 630 range as well, if we're going to widen those supports and resistances out. We do have that 9-day EMA sitting at 614. That's going to be a spot for us. It's going to give us a little hiccup as we're trying to grind higher. But overall, 600 should give us some good footing as we go into next week. And if not, then that 588 is definitely going to be a huge support for us that we need to kind of focus on. But that 600, it should hold, and we should be working our way just creeping a little bit higher, perhaps a little bit of a gap up, maybe a little gap and go could be in our favor for Monday. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see how everything shakes out. So 600, 588 on the downside. We're looking at 618 and then that 629 level here to the upside. And you can see how the overall markets correlate with one another. So this is your QQQ. We're going to go back to gold just one more time so you guys can visually see once more exactly what happened in here in gold in the past 2 weeks. So a couple green candles, had a couple red candles in QQQ. That's how basically the overall markets always seem to correlate. Little positive drift overall in here in gold, even when you do get your run up, your gap ups and things like that into your overall markets. But for the most part, they're always going to have a little bit of an inverse correlation. So let's see what happens in here in gold, and we're going to see how that dictates things in the overall markets going into next week. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We also have a Discord service if you are interested, and you can find all of our socials in the description below.